Mass mindset. Influence the future.
There is a version of you that you have never met. A version that does not think, does not deliberate, does not weigh consequences. A version that screams when others scream, runs when others run, and believes things it would never believe alone in a quiet room. And the terrifying part, you don't need to be unstable, or irrational, or even afraid. You just need to be surrounded by enough people, and that other version of you wakes up. Welcome, my name is not important. What is important is what happens to human beings the moment they stop being individuals and become something else entirely. In 1995, a social psychologist named Elias Canetti received renewed attention for a book he had written decades earlier. He said that the moment a person enters a crowd, they experience something close to relief, the relief of not having to be oneself anymore. Think about that, relief, because being an individual is an exhausting act. Every day you carry the weight of your identity, your reputation, your fears. But inside a crowd, that weight lifts. The boundaries of the self where you end and others begin to dissolve. Psychologists call this phenomenon deindividuation. It was first studied formally in the 1960s by Philip Zimbardo. Zimbardo found that when people feel anonymous, when they cannot be held accountable, their behavior changes in dramatic ways, as if the crowd were a permission slip signed by everyone and no one at the same time. The change does not require malicious intent. It requires only a critical mass of bodies, a shared emotional temperature, and the quiet disappearance of individual identity. In the late 1800s, Gustave Le Bon wrote that in a crowd, every sentiment and act is contagious to a degree of self-sacrifice. What Le Bon called contagion, we now understand at the neurological level. Emotions like fear or outrage are extraordinarily infectious. This is not a flaw. For hundreds of thousands of years, synchronizing emotional states with those around you was essential to survival. If the person next to you went rigid with fear, you did not investigate. You felt fear too immediately, automatically, but the same system now governs how a football stadium erupts into fury, or how a political rally transforms quiet individuals into shouters. We are wired to catch each other's feelings. And in a crowd, that wiring can be overloaded in ways that strip away rational autonomy. Watch a murmuration of starlings, tens of thousands of birds moving as one fluid shape. No bird is giving orders, each responds to its neighbors. Human crowds follow a version of the same mathematics. In 1902, Charles Mackay wrote about the madness of crowds. He documented financial bubbles, religious frenzies, and witch trials, all driven by the self-reinforcing feedback loop of shared attention. The crowd creates its own reality. It can feel more vivid, more certain, more emotionally true than anything experienced alone. There is a precise moment when a crowd crosses a threshold, the tipping point. It stops being people and becomes momentum. Think of a stadium. Frustration aligns. Suddenly it's no longer thousands of private frustrations. It is one enormous shared frustration. Studies of crowd disasters show that participants were not acting irrationally. They were responding to the pressures of the system they were trapped inside. Now here is where it gets personal. We live in an age when the crowd has been digitized. Social media platforms are crowd-generating machines. High arousal emotional responses keep people engaged. The result is a permanent low-grade crowd experience in your pocket. The digital crowd imposes no friction. The mob gathers in milliseconds. The contagion spreads before any individual has had time to pause. The crowd is not simply a threat. It is also how individuals transcend themselves, how ordinary people become capable of extraordinary things, how grief becomes solidarity, how anger becomes justice. The crowd is how we move the world. In 1937, Muzaffar Sharif showed participants a stationary light in a dark room. Alone, they had different estimates of its movement, but in groups, their estimates converged. The group created a shared reality. They saw a light move that was not moving at all. The crowd is always there. The only question that matters, is whether you know you're in one. If this made you think, share it. The algorithm rewards your engagement, but curiosity rewards